A Sand County Almanac by Aldo Leopold, Chapter 10, October, Section 3, Red Lanterns. One way to hunt partridge is to make a plan based on logic and probabilities of the terrain to be hunted. This will take you over the ground where the birds ought to be. Another way is to wander quite aimlessly from one red lantern to another. This will likely take you where the birds actually are. The lanterns are blackberry leaves, red in October sun. Red lanterns have lighted my way on many a pleasant hunt in many a region, but I think that blackberries must first have learned how to glow in the sand counties of central Wisconsin. Along the little boggy streams of these friendly wastes, called poor by those whose own lights barely flicker, the blackberries burn richly red on every sunny day from first frost to the last day of the season. Every woodcock and every partridge has his private solarium under these briars. Most hunters, not knowing this, wear themselves out in the briarless scrub, and returning home birdless, leave the rest of us in peace. By us, I mean the birds, the stream, the dog, and myself. The stream is a lazy one. He winds through the alders as if he would rather stay here than reach the river. So would I. Every one of his hairpin hesitations means the much more stream bank, where hillside briars are joined dank beds of frozen ferns and jewelweeds on the boggy bottom. No partridge can long absent himself from such a place, nor can I. Partridge hunting, then, is a creekside stroll upwind from one briar patch to another. The dog, when he approaches the briars, looks around to make sure I am within gunshot. Reassured, he advances with stealthy caution, his wet nose screening 100 cents for that 1 cent, the potential presence of which gives life and meaning to the whole landscape. He is the prospector of the air, perpetually searching its strata for olfactory gold. Partridge scent is the gold standard that relates his world to mine. My dog, by the way, thinks I have much to learn about partridges, and being a professional naturalist, I agree. He persists in tutoring me with the calm patience of a professor of logic in the art of drawing deductions from an educated nose. I delight in seeing him deduce a conclusion in the form of a point from data that are obvious to him, but speculative to my unaided eye. Perhaps he hopes his dull pupil will one day learn to smell. Like other dull pupils, I know when the professor is right, even though I do not know why. I check my gun and walk in. Like any good professor, the dog never laughs when I miss, which is often. He gives me just one look and proceeds up the stream in quest of another grouse. Following one of these banks, one walks astride two landscapes, the hillside one hunts from, and the bottom the dog hunts in. There is a special charm in treading soft, dry carpets of Leopold to flush birds out of the bog. And the first test of a partridge dog is his willingness to do the wet work while you parallel him on the dry bank. A special problem arises when the belt of alders widens and the dog disappears from view. Hurry at once to a knoll or point where you stand stock still, straining eye and ear to follow the dog. A sudden scattering of white throats may reveal his whereabouts. Again, you may hear him breaking a twig, or splashing in a wet spot, or plopping into the creek. But when all sound ceases, be ready for instant action, for he is likely on point. Listen now for the premonitory clucks a frightened partridge gives just before flushing. Then follows the hustling bird, or perhaps two of them, or I have known as many as 6, clucking and flushing one by one, each sailing high for his own destination in the uplands. Whether one passes within gunshot is of course a matter of chance, and you can compute the chance, if you have time. 360 degrees divided by 30, or whatever segment of the circle your gun covers. Divide again by 3 or 4, which is your chance of missing, and you have the probability of actual feathers in the hunting coat. The second test of a good partridge dog is whether he reports for orders after such an episode. Sit down and talk it over with him while he pants. Then look for the next red lantern and proceed with the hunt. The October breeze brings my dog many scents other than grouse, each of which may lead to its own peculiar episode. When he points with a certain humorous expression of the ears, I know he has found a bedded rabbit. Once, a dead serious point yielded no bird, but still the dog stood frozen. In a tuft of sedge under his very nose was a fat, sleeping coon, getting his share of October sun. At least once on each hunt, the dog bathed a skunk, usually in some denser than ordinary thicket of blackberries. Once the dog pointed in midstream, a whir of wings upriver, followed by 3 musical cries, told me he had interrupted a wood duck's dinner. Not infrequently, he finds jacksnipe in heavily pastured alders, and lastly, he may put out a deer bedded for the day on a high stream bank flanked by alder bog. Has the deer a poetical weakness for singing waters, or a practical liking for a bed that cannot be approached without making a noise? Judging by the indignant flick of his great white flag, it might be either or both. Almost anything may happen between one red lantern and another. At sunset, on the last day of the grouse season, every blackberry blows out his light. I do not understand how a mere bush can thus be infallibly informed about the Wisconsin statutes, nor have I ever gone back next day to find out. For the ensuing 11 months, the lanterns glow only in recollection. I sometimes think that the other months were constituted mainly as a fitting interlude between Octobers, and I suspect that dogs and perhaps grouse share the same view.